Hey guys, my name is Jen. I'm back this week showing you a classic dessert. It's homemade chocolate chip cookies, and I'm going to show you a different way of making them so that we can dress it up for Easter. The Easter Bunny is going to be pretty jealous. Let's do it. Well, hello my fine friends. Welcome to another edition of Jennifer's Baking. So we're going to start with unsalted butter. One note about butter: you want to use unsalted in baking unless it is otherwise specified. There's no regulation for how much salt they put in butter, so every butter is different brand to brand. So it's actually better for you to use unsalted butter and to add salt to it than to just like do your own thing. We are doing a classic chocolate chip cookie from Anna Olson, and this is her book, Sugar. Now, when I was first learning how to bake, she had a show on the Food Network called Sugar, and this is her corresponding book. And it's literally how I learned how to bake back then. Her tips are excellent, and if you're ever interested in getting her book, she actually has a bunch of tips in the very beginning here. She talks about all of the major ingredients and finding ingredients and doing things with them. It's better that you buy the book and let her explain it herself, all right? Okay, so first step is we are creaming together 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter, 1 cup of golden brown sugar, and 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. There are 2 types of brown sugar, so it does specifically say to use the golden brown. If you use the one that's a little bit darker, I'm sure it's not the end of the world, which means that there's a little bit more molasses in there. So the other thing I want to mention about butter, because that's all I'm going to talk about today, is that you want to make sure that you are using room temperature butter. One of her notes here actually says, if your butter is very soft, your cookies may spread flat. So, I mean, do you want a flat cookie? Do you? So I'm just measuring out my brown sugar like I've shown you before, and you just want to make sure it's packed, okay? And of course I've made like a giant mess already, but it wouldn't be me if, you know, I hadn't got to that point yet. Okay, and then it is 1/4 cup of, wow, I'm sorry guys. It's 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. Level, right? We are creaming them together, which just means we're going to blend them together until they're at a creamy state. And all of the sugar is mixed in with the butter. Oh! What a travesty. We're gonna be working with one arm today, guys. How sad. Next step is adding 1 egg and vanilla extract. So I'm just gonna crack it into a separate bowl because we've already got some other ingredients in there. And the egg looks good, and there's no shells. I'm sure I must have had a lot of chocolate chip cookies as a kid. Like, seriously, who doesn't? I don't necessarily have a, I don't necessarily have a memory of making them. Regardless, it still kind of brings me back to a nostalgic feeling. We're just gonna mix these 2 together. Okay, next step is our dry ingredients: flour, baking soda, salt, and our not so secret ingredient, cornstarch. So 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I cannot do anything without making a giant mess. 1 teaspoon of baking soda and cornstarch. So 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, and the note for this is My secret ingredient for making chewy centered cookies is cornstarch. If you want crispy cookies, omit the cornstarch and replace the baking soda with baking powder. So the choice is yours. I like a chewy cookie. That's my thing. There's one. All right, so we're looking at 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Flour is definitely an ingredient that you do not want to pack, so it's not the same as brown sugar. You don't want to be packing it in. If you do that, you may end up with very dry cookies. I'm just going to add it in bit by bit. The final cup, the second cup. The recipe calls for 8 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. I have a hard time finding bittersweet chocolate these days, so the substitute for it is actually semi-sweet chocolate. If you watched my last 2 videos, I swear it's not the only chocolate chips I buy, okay? It's not. It's just what I have right now. You don't need to make fun of me for it. I'm tired of your attitude. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do half chocolate chips, and I'm gonna do half of these fun Easter M&Ms that, yes, I have already ripped open and started eating by the handful. So roughly half a cup of each. Now again, this is a cookie, so you measure those chocolate chips with your heart. Okay. Spatula. We've got our batter. So if you're just doing a batch of chocolate chip cookies, then this makes about 2 dozen. I'm going to show you that way for half of the batch. And I'm also going to show you how to make it into a really fun cookie cake. I think I have this angled down quite a bit. I'm just using the back of a spoon to sort of even everything out. And I don't think I mentioned that I used butter to grease this. It's gonna be way easier for you to get out. I've also done the same with my cookie sheet, because it does say to use a greased baking sheet. Now, my baking sheet is non-stick, so I probably didn't need to do it, so I just did like a very small amount. I usually actually don't grease it, but I thought, well gosh, if I'm teaching you how to bake, I should probably follow the instructions, right? All right, so I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and I've got a batch of cookies on my sheet pan. I'm gonna put this in the oven first, and then I will bake off my cookie cake. And I also still have a little bit of dough left, so I'll probably just do like a few extra cookies with that. All right, see you back here in, I didn't even tell you guys how long they bake. 8 to 10 minutes. This is how I test out to see if the dough is legit. So good. I'm gonna stop myself from eating too much, but okay, that's it. All right, my cookie is cool and we are ready to decorate. So it's Easter. I tried to find a fairly simple pattern for you guys. So I'm gonna try to do this one. Unfortunately, I just have a black and white printer, but this one I think is a green background. One of them is blue, one of them is pink. I think I'm gonna try to do a green background. And then to make the Easter bunny is just gonna be like a semicircle and then some ears. I am using my favorite store-bought icing. So I do need about 3 colors. So we need white, which is already done for us. And I need the background color. And then I need a little bit of pink for inside the ears. And then for the eyeballs, I'm just gonna use some mini chocolate chips. And I might get creative with the type of green that I do. It's Easter, right? So I'm thinking a nice pastel-y Easter. If I just do green though, it might not be quite pastel-y enough for what I want. So I might end up adding just a touch of yellow. I think I like it better with more yellow. It's gonna be like kind of like a fun neon color. I do it right. You should have enough in one container to do the entire cookie. Like that should be plenty, even if you're doing multiple colors. I think I'm gonna do the whole cookie green, and then we'll just do our layers of color on top. I'm gonna take a toothpick and sort of just draw on a half a circle and then some ears. Yeah, I think that will be okay. Okay, let's try that. All right, so I'm just starting with my semicircle first. And what's interesting about this is the type of icing that this is. It's not like doing a batch of sugar cookies where the icing is going to set nice and smooth. This is a little different, so you are getting some texture, but I actually think that that's really good for this particular design because it's gonna look like the Easter Bunny has some fur, I think. So that's kind of cool. This is gonna be cute. I'm not gonna lie. It's looking pretty cute already. All right, now we're gonna move on to the ears. You want his ears to be proportionate. And bunnies have very large ears. At least that's what the Easter Bunny told me. When you're making pink, you really don't need that much red. I meant to do 1 drop and I did 2. Actually, that's not bad though. It's so cute. I can't even stand it. I probably made his head a little too big. That would be my one tip to you, is maybe don't bring his head up so far up the cookie. Because in the picture, what makes this a really cute design is that it's just half a head and his eyes are just sort of peeking. So my Easter Bunny has a huge head. That's not my problem. Okay, I'm trying out the mini chocolate chips. I'm gonna try it with a regular chocolate chip. That's probably the correct size, is to just use a regular chocolate chip, I would say. Now, the other thought I had, what if we put some Easter M&Ms around it? What if we did that? It looks so cute. Well, there you go, guys. A classic chocolate chip cookie with a twist to turn into an Easter delight. I hope you had a great time learning about it, and I hope you have a great Easter. And at this point, I think you know there's just one more thing to do. It's so good. Bye. Your face